Hey guys, welcome back to another Dragonheir Silent Gods video. Today I'm going to be talking about one of the teams I've used for the Resurgent Dragon boss at the end of each season. So this team here I'm going to be using is a Dauntless and Light and Radiance team. So as you can see here, I've got my tank being SAGOMIR. And so the reason for SAGOMIR being in this team is not just because he's my tank and therefore my attack penalty with his ultimate skill. He's also my debuff controller. So as you can see on his passive skill, he provides a carrot to the ally with the lowest current HP every 12 seconds, granting them 1 stack of recovery over time, and also increasing their ultimate energy by 20%. If you've watched my video guide on the actual Resurgent Dragon boss, you'll realise that this buff control, well, this ultimate energy control, is imperative to dealing with the stacks of buffs that the boss is going to get. So SAGOMIR is there to deal with that. Every 12 seconds he'll be doing this over a 30 to 35 second rotation. He'll be dealing with most of the buffs that the boss will be throwing out. So that is SAGOMIR's role in this team. The next up in my team, we've got Jillian. So Jillian is my healer, but also my cleanser for the defense penalty from the boss. So as you can see here on her ultimate skill, she dispels 1 buff and also heals all of the allies. The battle skill is just a heal for everybody as well for a single target and a damage reduction buff just to help keep my team alive. And also, obviously, she does deal more healing with her passive skill. I've got her built with a good amount of enlightenment and a nice amount of defensive stats. She's also using the Ancestor's Candle to rotate her battle skill more frequently. In terms of, obviously, SAGOMIR's artifact as well, sorry, I forgot to mention, he's using the Crown of the Unclean for the defense penalty, and he's also using the Ancestral Protection set to reduce the damage the rest of my team are taking. So next up, I've got my 3 damage dealers. So I've got Nimbus, who is just built to deal damage where he can. He's not the strongest, but he is there to enable my Avelios. So as you can see, he just does, he hits incredibly fast. That's the main thing. So he's going to be gaining attack speed frequently, and he's also going to do a large amount of hits with his ultimate skill. I've just got him built in the Gambler set because the max HP damage on the boss is incredibly strong. Same goes for my Tharivol, so he is also in a Gambler set, just built to do damage. He's using the Wine of Dragonblood artifact for the increased attack speed. He does scale incredibly well from attack speed with his ultimate skill especially. It's incredibly fast and does a really good amount of damage, as you'll see in the run. And lastly, I've got my Avelios, who is built with Enlightenment and Attack. I did actually have to change his build up in the run here. To include some extra defensive stats, so bear with me 2 seconds, I'm just going to fix that. There we go, so that's the actual build I used on my Avelios. I had to increase his defense a little bit just so he'd actually stay alive far enough into the fight to do a good amount of damage. Obviously his damage all revolves around derivative damage based on his allies attacking. So as you can see, every time a Dauntless hero attacks, he has a 20% chance to attack again, attack with them, and dealing derivative damage based on his Enlightenment and his attack. So that is Avelios's job here. So if I jump into the run, and I'll talk through how the timings of this team work. So in terms of obviously the buff control, that is done completely passively by SAGOMIR. The damage dealers are doing whatever they want, they're just freely attacking. The timings here really matter for my Jillian and my SAGOMIR. As you can see, their ultimates are ready, I am holding off with them. I will begin to use them once the defense penalty comes out. I will cleanse with Jillian and do some healing. SAGOMIR will go just before the boss takes his ultimate skill to apply attack penalty, and then obviously I'm just going to rotate that every time. I haven't played around with getting this set up on auto because obviously it's meant to be a 30-second rotation. The boss does get stunned if it's if all of your buffs are removed, so it gets a 5-second stun. So it's meant to be a 35-second rotation if that's happening. However, when I did have it on timings, it did throw it out a little bit. That will be because obviously the recharging speed penalty and a few other factors. So at some point I will go through and play with these settings to try and make this completely auto. But until then, obviously this is likely only going to be alive for a few days. I don't mind manualing with 2 of the heroes every now and then. It's going to be once a day and it takes 8 minutes. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Obviously it would save some time, however, if I am able to make that completely automatic. So I'm just going to leave this run to play. I'll let you guys watch this and I'll jump back in at the end, and obviously we'll talk about the damage it dealt and other alternatives that you could bring into this team if you don't have these heroes. And there you go. As you can see, this run did 51,129,951 damage, which is obviously, it's okay. It's not crazy damage. There are many more damage dealers in the game who will do a lot more, many more teams that will do a lot more. But as for what I was looking for, it helped me get towards the 141 million requirement for the top daily damage. And also I placed quite relatively well for my account on the seasonal, on the damage leaderboards. So in terms of replacements in this team, obviously we've got Jillian here for the cleansing. There is a few, well, there's one main option to replace her, and that's Catherine. So obviously sticking with the Lightning and Radiance team, Catherine can place the debuff immunity buff instead of cleansing off the debuffs, and also provides the healing. As a replacement for Sagomir, there is a tank option being Clovis, who will deal with one of the ultimate energy buffs. You can use the artifact to get a second, but you will likely need to bring in another option such as Hegio to help deal with the stacks if you don't have Sagomir. So Hegio has his battle skill, which recharges his ultimate skill by 20%. So that's on a 10-second rotation. You'll be able to get quite a few of the buffs off with him. There's also a few options in the lightning element that you could use to deal with this. So especially notable is Shook the Epic. So he is able to completely deal with this on his own with his battle skill. Also slow the boss down with his ultimate skill. I do use Shook in another one of my teams. He is incredibly strong for this fight. There's also another Epic who is very good for this fight as well, and that's Nessa. So she deals with your attack penalty, but also she will increase her ultimate energy every time she's dealing damage to an enemy with debuffs. So as long as you've got debuffs in your team, she's a great alternative to bring into this team. As for damage dealers, there are obviously so many different options that you could use between these two elements. So it would just be a case of the best damage dealers you've got on your account. So have a little look through that, evaluate, and see where you can build your team around this. Obviously, I'm not expecting everybody to be able to copy the exact team I'm using, but it is just more of a guideline as to why I've made these decisions with my team and how they performed for my account. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this helps you to build your Resurgent Dragon teams, and I'll see you in the next video.